Dionisio at the plate. He's 0 for 2 today. Swakowski, the big right-hander, lets it go. It's right down Broadway. Dionisio lets it fly, and it's raining now.
It's time for Rain Delay Theater with Jeremy Dionisio and Jack Swakowski.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rain Delay Theater, the show where two bums talk about other bums at baseball games. I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
And I'm Jack Swakowski.
This is episode number 303, and we have the big Worst of Fame episode. We're going to be inducting the 2026 Worst of Fame class, an annual tradition here at Rain Delay Theater. So we're going to run down the carryovers from last year, nominate our new guys for this year, and then do our votes and see who the new class is for 2026. Always an exciting time on the podcast, Jack.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it is, Jeremy. And it's also always interesting to look back at these guys who get nominated for this. Just so y'all know, it's kind of it's an award in futility. Basically, it's guys who hung around for 8 years or longer. So you got to hang around a while. It's kind of fascinating for a guy to be around that long and be as bad as he has to be nominated for this. It's impressive. So it's always fun to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get to that in 1 second. A couple other things to talk about today. Right off the top, I just want to acknowledge one thing. Terry Boers, longtime Chicago radio guy and sports writer, passed away over the weekend. Jack, I know, you spent your formative years, most of the years, or a lot of the years that Boers and Bernstein were running in Chicago and in Milwaukee. But I grew up listening to Boers and Bernstein. Like, I grew up meaning like probably from my 20s on, was listening to Boers and Bernstein on The Score on sports radio. And they were, my go-to sports talk radio show. They each had their own personalities, but I think, Terry Boers, he was the older of the two guys, started off started doing like the Bulls beat, the Bears beat back in the day, covered the Jordan in his heyday, covered the Ditka Bears, and then moved on to the radio when The Score started, I think in like 91 or 92. And then him and Bernstein started in 1999. And I'm trying to think of when I started listening, probably around 2000, 2001, something like that. When I was going to college, I was listening to a lot of like talk radio on my commute. I guess probably once I started driving, I guess So yeah. And, obviously we don't do anything near what those guys did, but, for me, those were like formative shows to listen to, formative hours of radio, and the podcast is in somewhat of the same universe as that, and Boers and Bernstein were just like irreverent, told it like it is, definitely called things out and kind of spoke truth, a lot, and I think there's some inspiration there for me, doing the show and everything. And, Terry was just, he was a funny guy. One of my favorite things, that I remember, he said just all kinds of crazy nonsense stuff and just, absurdist stuff. But, I remember there was like a call where he, and like I said, Boers and Bernstein would yell at their listeners, if they were dumb, if they had bad takes or just saying misinformation, whatever. And I remember Terry Boers one time told a guy to kiss a sick monkey's wet ass. And so that's just one of many things that he said to people. And he was awesome. He had a lot of health issues later on in life, but I read his biography, A Score of a Lifetime, I think it's called, a couple years ago, and it was really cool to hear. And he was just an awesome dude. And it's a bummer. He passed away at 75, which is it's too young. And he was just but he had a lot of health issues, so it's good that stuff isn't an issue anymore. But he'll definitely be missed in the landscape of Chicago radio.
Yeah, right. We'll talk about this in a minute, but we're going to Sox Fest. I wonder if they'll say anything or have some type of moment of silence for him at Sox Fest.
Maybe I have a feeling that most Sox fans probably hated him because he didn't hold back. I mean, I think it was a love-hate relationship. Definitely a lot of. I will say this, I don't think they made a lot of friends with meatballs.
Sure.
And I sometimes it seems like a lot of those meatballs are Sox fans, but he was but that was who they are, and I think I don't know. I mean, I think Terry Boers was definitely more kind of he would give it and but maybe he would kind of do it with a little bit of a wink, and Bernstein maybe not as much, and I think people probably dislike Bernstein a little more, but
yeah.
But they definitely would call people out and just dispel, they wouldn't give people a platform to say stupid stuff. They would
Sure.
shut it down, which I always appreciated.
Yeah, right. That was also kind of during the heyday of sports talk radio too, like the late '90s, early 2000s. I wonder if it's sports talk radio is still as good as it used to be. If now that there's so many other other platforms and things you can listen to and read.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just with the inception of podcasts. Honestly, that's where I kind of tailed off with them a little bit, was once podcasts started, listening to more podcasts. At this point now, Bernstein has gone from the score. Most of the original guys are gone or retired at this point. And Bernstein does a podcast with Matt Abaticola, who is the former producer of the Boers and Bernstein show. So they've taken their show to the podcast realm, and honestly, it reminds me a lot of what it used to be back in the day, just minus Terry Boers. But it was so it's a good. I listen to that show nowadays, but I don't think the score is quite what it used to be. So
Sure.
yeah, it's too bad, but it was a capturing lightning in a bottle sort of thing, and I think it's I think it will be hard to find another guy like Terry Boers and those guys, but yeah, so it was it was good to have him when he was around.
For sure. Well, yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. to Terry Boers. So, and check out his book if you want. And then I think if you go to YouTube, there's a lot of Boers and Bernstein highlights, like sound clips and stuff. So you can get a little taste of what the show was like. But it was definitely entertaining. So all right. I guess before we get into Worst of Fame, this weekend, as this episode comes out, we will be going to Sox Fest. We talked about it a little bit last week, but we, I think the list is a lot shorter than Cubs convention. The format is a lot different.
Yeah.
But it's we can still kind of give a little quick overview of how it's gonna go. I have the list of attendees in front of me, Jack. I could run those down.
Yeah, so do I. But it's not a long list, so you might as well just read the whole thing.
Yeah, well, one list. So it was it last? I think it was last episode. Yeah, I said I don't think we're gonna get. I don't think Luis Robert is gonna make it to Sox Fest, which came true. It's always nice when you can get it on tape and out there. Actually, by the time that episode dropped, Luis Robert was already gone from the White Sox. So that was funny. But yeah, so they have a mixture of prospects, current players, and I guess just front office, admin type guys. So Sam Antonacci, who is a draft pick of theirs a couple last year maybe. Chris Getz, who is is he the GM or is he the president? I think he's just the GM, right?
I almost want to say he might be the senior VP and GM.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he's got some. I thought he might have had they elevated him to a bigger role. Bo Jackson is supposed to be there. That's definitely the highlight of the list, I would say.
Yeah.
Anthony Kay, who just got signed maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Davis Martin, Tanner McDougal, also a prospect for them, a draft pick. Chase Mydroth, who we saw his major league debut last year. Colson Montgomery, who probably is their best player at this point.
Yeah.
Shane Smith, who was an all-star last year. Grant Taylor, who actually seems to have some promise. Kyle Teal, Miguel Vargas, and Will Venable, the manager. So that's mostly it for the players. From broadcast, John Schriffen is going to be there.
Yes, he will.
Which is going to be awesome. And Len Casper will be there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's a couple of guys there that are exciting.
Yeah, and then our Chuck will be there as well, Chuck Garfien. So that'll be interesting.
Yep.
One name that was noticeably absent from this list for me was Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, who is Andrew Benintendi to not be at Sox Fest? Like, I hope they at least invited him and he rejected. I don't know, but they signed this guy to a $75 million contract. His first 3 seasons, they've lost 100 games in each season. He hasn't been good. And, to quote Branch Rickey, son, we could have lost 100 games 3 times in a row without you. I guess
Yes.
that's a paraphrase. But, like, the least this guy can do is show up for an evening of Sox Fest.
Yeah, and sign some autographs, pay back some of that salary a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how it works. Like other teams have other teams. All the teams do different kind of formats, but a lot of them do some shape or form of like a fan fest convention sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I think Reds try to bring a bunch of guys like from the 40 man there.
Yeah.
Clearly, the Sox are not mandating people to come because there would be more people. So I don't even know what they do. Do they just like put out an open call and whoever RSVPs they throw on the website? Like,
right.
I don't know, but like, Benintendi. And last year too, when I was at spring training, Benintendi and Luis Robert were the only 2 players who like took a golf cart back off the practice field so they didn't have to sign autographs for everybody. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, he he should be there to pay back a little bit to the fans.
Well, yeah, so that's disappointing, but whatever. At Bo Jackson, you mentioned is super exciting. We were texting with our friend Chris, who said that Bo Jackson is apparently a little skittish to sign anything that's not like an approved photograph from his agent. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't seem like we're gonna get a card autograph from Bo Jackson. Maybe nothing autograph from him. I don't know, but I'm not too optimistic about that one. I'm not sure how you're feeling.
Yeah, same. I don't. I know that like he like they have there was this like top series a couple years or like in 2020 like these Project 2020 cards. There was these artist cards where they kind of recreated his rookie card and like he wouldn't sign those, like he won't sign those. And so like I don't know if we would have to like wait in line just to get like a pre-signed 8x10 or something like or I guess maybe he would sign it like live in front of you, but like if it's this kind of situation where we could get that or like 3 other guys, I would probably, I might opt for the 3 other guys. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but I've heard like, contrasting reports about how he is just in general, like, okay. So like, I don't know. I'm not holding on too much either. I think from this list, I think Chase Meidroth. I got Chase Meidroth at spring training, but now he has rookie cards. Colson Montgomery is one guy I didn't get to get at spring training last year, so those 2 would be kind of up there for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jack, I think I ran into Len Casper last year at spring training. You mentioned that I missed the opportunity to bring up the Eric Estrada interview with him.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, I feel like that's like our top priority is to like.
Yeah, we should. Hopefully we can be together when it happens. But and it's almost kind of glad that you didn't do it, or good that you didn't do it last year, because now we can do it together and really get his opinion on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I am looking forward to that as well. Chris also mentioned that Harold Baines is pretty much going to be a given. Like, he might not be listed here, but he's probably going to be there. It's weird that they wouldn't. Because he's a big name, so it's weird that they wouldn't put him on here. But I agree. Like, I thought he was going to be there too, so probably he will be. And he said Ron Kittle is also very likely to be there. I got my Ron Kittle card in the mail, so I'm really hoping that's right. I'd be happy to just get those 2 guys, regardless of any player, current active player.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've gotten Kittle through the mail, but I've never in person, so I would like to get him as well. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but on the old sports channel feed of the White Sox games, I remember Ron Kittle played, and he would hit these light tower homers into the lights, and like the old cameras would like when they would show the lights lit up, it would like blur the image, and I just remember seeing that, and I was thinking like, oh my god, Ron Kittle is like some kind of like Casey Jones like legendary guy. So I think you probably would enjoy hearing that, but yeah, so like I hope those guys are there. It would be cool if maybe Ozzy like snuck into this list as well.
Right.
One thing that Chris mentioned to me too when I was messaging with him is that he thinks that maybe Sir Anthony Dominguez could be there because they just signed him and he might have to be in town to sign his contract. So I'm gonna bring one of his cards too. I mean, I'm bringing like the whole roster just in case there's some like unnamed guys on this list. They never quite. They only updated this list like once since they released it like a month ago, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, one thing too that I'm kind of like intrigued by is that apparently there's free parking at Guaranteed Rate Field, and then this fest is at the Ramova Theater in Bridgeport, just kind of down 35th Street. So you can park at the Sox parking lot and then take like a school bus, like shuttle bus over to the theater. And I'm excited about that because I feel like that's going to be an experience in and of itself. So
yes,
yeah, that should be kind of funny to experience. Jack, I like back in the day. Maybe actually they probably still do it. I just haven't done it. But like you used to park. I don't even know where. Like by like Millennium Park or Daily Bicentennial Park is the other one, or now it's called Maggie Daly Park. But you used to be able to park over there and take like a shuttle bus over to Bears games, and that shuttle bus at Bears games was like part of the experience. There's just all kinds of chaos and just raucousness, and so like so that like I don't know, I don't think it's gonna be quite like that like for Bears games, but it maybe I'm sure someone will be drinking a beer on there at some point.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd takes that. So that'll be good. Jeremy, I'm looking at their FAQ section here, and there is a bit of a disturbing tidbit here. It says, will there still be opportunities for player autographs and photos? The answer is fans will have opportunities for meet and greets with White Sox players and greats at various locations throughout the venue. However, the event's reimagined format will focus heavily on live player programming and entertainment scheduled on the main stage. Autographs are not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So yeah, to the novice Sox Fest goer like you and I, that doesn't sound very promising. But also, like Chris told us that there are usually autographs to be had. So
yeah.
I'm at least somewhat optimistic in that regard.
We were talking about how it's like kind of unclear of like what to expect. I think they brought it back last year if I remember correctly, and they did say something like autographs are not guaranteed, and so like I think we would have went last year if it was like if they didn't make a point of saying that. But then Chris went and he kind of reported back to us. He's like, "Oh yeah, we got autographs." Like guys, I think he said that guys did sit down and would sign. It's just not as like structured as like Cubs convention. So
sure.
I think it'll happen. I think maybe you might catch some guys, in and coming in and out or whatever. So there's going to be a little bit of like autograph hunting sort of thing, kind of like when we're roaming around the hotel, like after the opening ceremonies. So I'm kind of expecting a mixture of that and then some like kind of impromptu like sit downs where people line up and just get autographs real quick.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that, well, who knows? I could see like some Sox meatball being like, I don't know who you are, but I'll take your autograph. But then like I'm thinking like, is like Tanner McDougal gonna have like a long line? I don't know. So like I think guys like that might just be easy pickings. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. The ticket price was not super, backbreaking. So like,
no,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, right. Even if it's a bust, we didn't pay enough to be mad about it. So yeah, it'll be an interesting experience, and we'll have the recap I think next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that'll be fun, and just counting down. It's part of we're in the countdown to opening day at this point. So
yes.
So that's just one step to it. But okay, cool. Jack, let's get into the worst of fame, shall we?
Yep. Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, just some real quick ground rules. I'd mentioned that our ground rules for nominations. First of all, we're doing 2020 retirees this year. So that those are going to be the new guys on the list. A guy had to play in at least parts of 8 seasons. Or I think for the actual Hall of Fame, a guy had to have 10 years of service time. For us, it's parts of 8 seasons. It broadens the horizons a little bit. We're going to nominate 4 players. So we each get 4 votes. Jeremy and I don't know who each other's nominated, so that adds a little bit of excitement to it. Maybe we nominated a couple of the same guys. And we also had 3 carryovers, too. The carryovers this year from last year's voting were Matt Albers, Ryan Flaherty, and Edwin Jackson. So the rule there is if a guy gets at least 1 vote from one of us, he can move on to the next year. He can stay on the ballot. If he gets no votes, he's off the ballot. And if he gets 2 votes, if we both vote for him, he's in.
Yep, absolutely. I guess too, real quick, I can just run down like who is in the worst of fame.
Yeah.
Because we have that. So we've been doing this since we started in 2021. So we've had 5 classes. The first class from 2021 included Bill Hall, Jason Marquis, and Jeff Suppan. So they were the inaugural class of the worst of fame. 2022, only one guy got in, Jerome Williams.
Okay.
2023 was Mike Pelfrey, Danny Espinoza, and Jeremy Guthrie.
Okay.
One of my favorite classes, I would say.
Yeah.
2024 was Bud Norris, who should be the poster boy of the worst of fame, I think. Bill Ripken, who I think was a Veterans Committee induction, and Pedro Alvarez.
Okay.
And then last year, the 2 inductees were Daniel Descalso and Gordon Beckham.
It's another good class, right? Last year's was.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. I was looking back at that. And I'm like, wow, Gordon Beckham made the worst of fame. I'm like, I didn't go back and look at his numbers, but I'm like, I'd have to go back and listen to what we said last year. But yeah, it's just funny, and especially coming on the heels of this White Sox Fest conversation. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good list of guys to be in something like this. I think we've gotten it right for the most part so far.
I think so.
Cool. Yeah, so it's a lot of pressure, but I think we can do it again. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is just go over, we're going to switch off guys that we nominated. So, Jeremy, do you want to go first with your first nomination?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. I think, and there's some guys more obvious than others, I think, looking at this. But to the guys, some guys who will be joining Edwin Jackson, Matt Albers, and Ryan Flaherty on the ballot this year. My first guy, Jack, I think this guy jumped out to me right away. Sean Rodriguez.
Oh, okay, yeah, Jeremy. So I'll just say that he's one of my nominees too.
Okay, right on. Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about why you selected him.
I mean, yeah, it's fun to look at these guys' numbers and like be looking for futility. You didn't have to look very far on Sean Rodriguez's list.
No,
I'm just like the guy was never like he was good in 2016.
Yep.
Other than that, the guy was never even serviceable. I don't think. Maybe 2010, maybe 2014, not even really 2014. Like the guy was never like good, and he survived for 13 years in the major leagues. He was not even that good defensively, I don't think. Like I think his I try to dig into his fielding numbers, and I think he had low UZR ratings, fielding ratings in outfield and third base. I don't know what his appeal was. He was a 3rd round pick, originally from the Angels. And then I just think the most damning thing, I don't know if you remember this, Jack, but it stands out for Cubs fans for sure. I think it was in the 2020 or the 2015 wild card game, Cubs versus Pirates, when he got, I think there was a bench clearing situation, and I think it involved Sean Rodriguez, or maybe Sean Rodriguez was the fucking guy who got in the middle but wasn't even part of the play at all. But he was involved in that thing, and then he the cameras caught him going pissed off going into the dugout, and he fucking boxed the Gatorade jug.
Yeah.
You remember that, Jack?
So that is the lasting image of
Yes.
Sean Rodriguez. If you hadn't brought that up, I was going to.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, in lieu of like hitting a Cubs player, you mentioned boxed. I feel like he actually had his dukes up and like he hit the water, the Gatorade or the water or whatever it was, the container.
Yeah.
If I was a player, I'd be pissed because it's like now this stuff is all over the dugout and like some clubhouse attendant is going to have to replace that. And it's like if you wanted to drink a water immediately, well, you're out of luck because he punched it out.
Yeah, it was so ridiculous. Like it was such a like tough guy move, but it was like, dude, you're punching a water cooler and like you're doing it like you're like shadow boxing or something, like in the gym or something. And it's like, if you wanted to do that, you could have did that. You were just on the field, you could have did that to a real person. And it was just so lame. I remember he had like a little like kind of man bun sort of thing, like ponytail type of thing. Like at some point when he was on the Pirates, he like tried to look like a pirate, and he was just a goofball and a clown. And so like I just I think like if there were a worst of fame that these players were aware of, like I would like to think that Sean Rodriguez would have been in the back of his mind during like the latter part of his career. It's like, oh man, I just got to stay out of the worst of fame. But it comes and finds you if you're due.
Oh yeah, and just to, I guess, give the most glaring thing of all, a career average of 226, across, those parts of 13 seasons. So just not good, like you said, Jeremy. I don't know what the appeal was. I don't know why he kept hanging around.
He played a lot of positions, but like
he did.
I think you think like you would have been able to find other guys who could do that. So I don't know, but yeah, he stuck around for a while, and so. All of that. I didn't even really get into much of the numbers, but yeah, just 226 career batting average, not great.
No.
At all, and not for and no power. Average 12 homers per year. So and that's generous, I think.
Yeah.
So actually, that's not even average. But yeah, it's not good. So yeah, Sean Rodriguez. There you go.
Okay, yeah, I love it, and yeah, he's one of mine too. So we'll keep him in mind, but I would say that's not a good sign for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so my one of the guys I nominated in addition to Sean Rod was Justin Smoke.
Okay, interesting. I looked at him, but tell us about Justin Smoke.
So I feel like first of all, this is kind of in the same line as Pedro Alvarez. So, I feel like there's some precedent there because Pedro Alvarez was a really high draft pick. He had a ton of hype. And even though he had a year or two where he hit 30-plus home runs, just in general, he was a huge, huge disappointment across multiple organizations. I mean, definitely at least for the Pirates, but I remember he landed on at least another team or two. So I feel like Justin Smoke is in that same vein. I remember when he was drafted in the first round, 11th overall. In 2008, he went to the University of South Carolina, but he was a high draft pick, and I think that a big prospect for a while before he actually came up. He was supposed to be good. He was a first baseman. He was supposed to be a power hitting first baseman, but yeah, he just never really materialized. He never panned out. He hit some home runs. He had 196 home runs for his career, which is, I guess, more than you would think he had. He did have one good year in 2017 where he hit 38 home runs and 90 RBIs and hit 270 and walked 73 times. That was his only all-star season. He also hit 22 home runs in 2019, 25 in 2018. Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong. I know 2019 was a juiced ball year. Was 2017 also a juiced ball year?
It's possible. I remember. Yeah, because that was Judge's first full year, I think.
Yeah,
and I think
Judge and Bellinger. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the knocks there. I think it was. I remember that there was like two, like close to each other, but they weren't like quite back to back. I think you're right, Jack. Okay,
yeah. So he just could never really seem like he could hold down a starting job for that long. He was the starter for Toronto for a couple of years. He started at first base. He was on the Mariners for a couple of years. But I just feel like overall a disappointment. His career average was 229. So the average was just never really there enough, to keep him in the lineup. He did walk a little bit, but I just think he was a disappointment in the Pedro Alvarez sense. So that was why he ended up on my list.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I I looked at the numbers and like the home run numbers. I remember that at least he could hit for power. It's funny because what did we say? Sean Rod hit 226.
226, yeah,
for his career. So, and I was gonna say at least Justin Smoke hit like twice as many homers as Sean Rodriguez.
Right.
But or more than that actually. But yeah, so the home run numbers did stand out to me, but it is true that like I think he benefited from the juice ball a couple of those years. If 2017 in fact was one of those years, yeah, like that was his highest number. I remember when he came up too, because like there was like a fantasy implications there. I think like I'm trying to think of who else kind of came up around that time. I did a quick like I think Mark Trumbo came up around that time too.
Okay.
I remember like I might have even signed Justin Smoke and was really hoping he would be a guy, and then like he didn't really just his batting average was always bad, so like it didn't really help me from a fantasy standpoint, and like he wasn't hitting enough homers early on to justify that. So I remember kind of like cutting bait on him pretty early. So yeah, I think they wanted more out of him for sure. Yeah, you're right. The homer, he's got a lot of double digits, but like it was never enough to justify the average and like the low output, on his percentages slash lines. So
no, I was just thinking, maybe he came along just a couple years too early. 3 true outcome was a thing when he was playing, but I feel like maybe those numbers would be more acceptable in this day and age. But yeah, Not good enough for me, so I have him on here.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Justin Smoke. Okay. So actually I'm gonna start making my list here.
Yeah.
So we have Sean Rodriguez, and then Justin Smoke. Okay. So there were 5 guys who I really kind of like wanted to go for here. And I just I think I'm just gonna go with the 4 that I have, like, because I kind of eliminated one at the end. This next guy that I have have to imagine you have him too, Jack. He's kind of like plays along the model of some of these other guys who are in the worst of fame already. And it's funny because he had one. None of those other guys have like an individual season accolade, but this guy does, and it stands out to me so much because I think the rest of his career just kind of doesn't sync up with that. I'm talking about Rick Porcello.
Yeah, I actually have him too.
Yep. Okay. Again, another damning thing that both of us have him. Rick Porcello, like. So he won the Cy Young. I'll start off by saying he won the Cy Young in 2016, and 22-4 with a 3.15 ERA. But like other than that, just not good at all. Like there's just not really anything else that was good about it. And I think I'm trying to think, like he was already under contract with the Red Sox. I didn't look at his contract like situation on Baseball Reference, but I feel like he was. I think he was under a big contract. He started off with the Tigers and then signed a big contract with the Red Sox, and then won the Cy Young. So it looked okay for a minute, but ultimately probably not what they were hoping for. As a Red Sox, he had a career 4.43 ERA, a 4.40 career ERA overall. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he had 1 year with the Mets where he was just piss poor, basically. 150 and 125 record overall, 150 wins, 125 losses, 4.40 ERA. Led the league in hits a couple of years, hits, given up, led the league in home runs 1 year. He pitched a lot. He was like a workhorse, but the numbers are. It's like I see a lot of 4s in his it's a majority fours in his ERA for his career, which makes sense because he's a 4.40 career ERA guy. But yeah, just the honestly, I think the Cy Young almost like it almost like puts a bigger spotlight on him. That it's like this guy won a Cy Young, but he was predominantly not great in his career.
Yeah, I think that if you look at, we're going to make a list of the worst pitchers ever to win a Cy Young. I think he would be right up there. I think it's an interesting thing to have a guy like him on this list, because I don't think we've ever had an MVP or a Cy Young former guy even be nominated. And I think there's something to be said for that Cy Young that he won too. It's almost like he's the last guy who won a Cy Young because of his wins. Because he was 22-4. And so if you look at the Cy Young race that season, there's not really a candidate in the AL who ran away with it. Justin Verlander finished second in the voting, and he was 16-9 with a 3.04 ERA in 227 innings. Porcello pitched 223 that year. So Verlander didn't have the wins. I think if maybe he would have won a couple more games, he probably would have won the award. Verlander had about 60 more strikeouts than Porcello that year. But there just wasn't a great candidate. Corey Kluber was third, 18-9 with a 3.14 ERA. That was the year Zach Britton had an 0.54 ERA and 67 innings of relief. Gotcha. Chris Sale, 3.34 ERA and 226 innings. So nobody ran away with it. And I think those 22 wins put Porcello over the top. But there were a lot of really good hitters on that Boston team. I mean, Poppy had a crazy year that year. I think Mookie Betts was second in the AL MVP voting. So like they had a really good offensive team as well. But Porcello benefited from that. So that was why I voted for him too, Jeremy. He was just pretty damn mid for the rest of his career at best. So he definitely deserves to be on here.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, just for the sake of poking holes in the argument, he did have a really good whip and K to walk ratio too. He had a 1 whip, struck out. So he struck out less than a batter per inning, which is not part, like it's not part of even that era of baseball. Guy like the dominant pitchers were striking out more than a batter per inning. So he was below that, but he was walking 1.3 guys per 9 innings in that season. But overall, he's a 131 whip guy, 132 whip, which is not great. It's okay, but it's not great. Actually, it's not even that okay. But that year he was exceptional in that department. But still, I think. I think that's more damning that he had the one good year and the rest is just really bad. So
and funnily enough, Verlander's whip in that season was actually better than Porcello's.
Was it?
Too.
Okay.
Yeah, it was slightly lower. Verlander only gave up 171 hits in 227 innings. That was 22 hits less than Porcello in about the same amount of innings. So
there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but like you said, it's maybe even more of a case for Porcello to be on this list.
Yeah, I like that hurting his career, or like helping his campaign for worst of fame. But
right.
Rick Porcello. So that was my second guy. I feel like I've eaten away at your ballot, Jack, but
no, you're fine. Yeah, so that's interesting. We have at least 2 of the same guys. So I think I'm up next here, and I think I only have one more guy to name because we've already named 2 of my other guys, which is fine. This last one for me here is a pitcher, and like you said, I think he's very similar to a lot of the starting pitchers that we have on this list already, but Ivan Nova.
Nice. I had him too, Jack. I had Ivan Nova.
Okay.
Also.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. Let's just talk a little bit about him here. Like a lot of the other starting pitchers who are on this list, he has a high career ERA of 4.38 in 240 career games. 227 of those he started. So there were a few years where he was a real workhorse. I feel like he started off good. If you discount his rookie year, when he was pretty mid and he pitched 42 innings to a 4.50 ERA. But his next year when he was a full-time starter, He had a 3.70 ERA in 27 starts, which is pretty darn good. But after that, there wasn't much. In his 2012 season, his third year, he had a 5.02 ERA in 170 innings, 5.07 ERA in 94 innings in 2015, 4.17, 2016, and just a lot of 4s and 5s. He did go to the White Sox. He was traded from Pittsburgh to the White Sox for some minor leaguer that never made it past rookie ball. And I almost, again, sort of like being a Cy Young winner for Porcello, I kind of feel like being an innings eater for the White Sox is just some sort of weird detriment to your career.
Yeah.
He was terrible that season in 2019 for the White Sox. He started 34 games, so he took the ball, I think, more than every fifth day. Like, he might have started on short rest a couple times, but he had a 4.72 ERA in 187 innings, gave up 225 hits in 187 innings, so that's one hell of a lot of hits, and he walked 47 guys. So you want to talk about whip. His whip was almost 1.5. Only struck out 114 in 187. So, yeah, just not good. That was the juice ball season, but yeah, he definitely didn't deal with it very well.
No, and it's funny. So I said we started this in 2021. Perhaps like the worst of fame was a glint in our eyes because we saw him start a game for the White Sox that year for the podcast. In fact, Jack, I don't know if you remember this, but he threw the pitch that ended up in the hands of Tim Anderson, which then went into the stands and into my hands, somewhat battling you for it. He threw that pitch. I think that it was like his pitch ball, and I think Luke Voigt hit it.
Wow.
But so I remember that, I guess, just because I ended up with that ball. I remember the chain of command for that, or the chain of possession, whatever, for that. But I think as we were sitting there watching that, like, we knew in 2019 that it's like, why is this guy still in the league? Why is he on the White Sox? Like, I don't know if the worst of fame was born that day. But there was a feeling, I think, amongst us, just thinking like, how does this guy belong in the major leagues? And then he still pitched another year after that, and like at least 4 more games. But yeah, just bad. I don't know if those like kind of 2 years, like salvage his case, because the rest of it was just really bad.
So Jeremy, that's funny that you would mention that. I remember that clear as day when Tim Anderson threw that ball, but the chain of how that ball got to you, like off of Ivan Nova, worst of fame candidate. We should say that 2021. If our first year of doing this, next year will be 2021 retirees. So, that'll be interesting. But off of Ivan Nova, hit by Luke Voigt. I don't know how many years Luke Voigt played, but I can tell you he could, sure as heck be a candidate for the worst of fame. And then Tim Anderson, also, potential candidate just because of how he ended his career. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's potentially all 3 of those guys could make their way on the ballot. So that's kind of crazy.
Wow. If that were the case, that ball will skyrocket in value, at least between the 2 of us. So yeah, wow. That's prophetic, if anything. So I don't know. I don't want to have that, influence my decision on voting, but
sure.
He has a good case for worst of fame, for sure.
Very good. Jeremy, did you have anybody else on your list? I think maybe you have one more guy.
Yeah, I do, because we had so many of the same guys. So I had a very tough time deciding who the last guy on my list should be. I don't even know if it's even worth to mention the guy. Actually, I don't, because I don't think he deserves it. But the last guy on my list, Jack, I don't know if I was just feeling like something with the real Hall of Fame voting of kind of like, I just feel like 2 guys got in who maybe weren't thought to maybe get in.
Sure.
And I think next year, I feel like we're trending now that like a lot of these fringe guys are going to end up getting in, or not even fringe, but like kind of close guys are going to end up getting in. So it almost feels like we're in a momentum shift with the actual Hall of Fame where like more guys are going to start getting in. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, let's put more guys on the ballot, or like let's have more guys who, you wouldn't think. Jack, in the spirit of Rick Porcello, a guy who has two notable achievements in his career, not a Cy Young, but a guy who threw two no-hitters, Jack. I threw Homer Bailey on my ballot.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me more. I definitely noticed him on here.
Yeah. I mean, it seems, and again, maybe I'm trying to be like the bad boy of worst of fame voting or something, because I'm like, I don't care if you threw two no-hitters. If you want a Cy Young, that doesn't like excuse you from consideration for the worst of fame.
Sure.
But like, yes, we know that Homer Bailey threw two no-hitters, which is crazy and quite a achievement. I don't know how many players have thrown multiple no-hitters, but I feel like is it more than 10? I don't know, but outside of that, and I think he threw them in I want to say it was 2011 and 2012. I looked this up last night. It was either 2011, 2012 or 2012, 2013. He had a run of 3 years, okay?
Yeah.
12, 13, and 14, where he had ERAs under 4. The win-loss wasn't great, but I think those Reds teams were bad, I'm assuming. But, okay, so you take those 3 years. This is almost like the Sandy Koufax argument in reverse. If you take those 3 years, that 3-year run that he had, the numbers are ugly, like with a capital U. He didn't really start full-time until, like, his third year, but 5 ERA, 7 ERA, those are the limited years. Then 4.5, 453, 446, 443. Then you skip those 3 years, age 26 to 28. Then I think he maybe dealt with some injuries for a couple of years. He pitched 8 games over the next 2 years after that run. ERA 5.56, 6.65. Then he comes back almost not even full time, but 2017 6.43, 609, 457. He actually started 31 games that year, and then he pitched 2 games in 2020, and he actually had a 3.38 ERA with the Twins. I don't remember him as a Twin at all. That was 2020, I guess, that's kind of a bummer. He came back just to pitch in front of nobody. But actually, now I'm saying it, it's almost more sad than like worst of fame material. But like, the numbers are really bad, and like, I kind of liked Homer Bailey. He was 7th overall pick out of high school. And I know he had a lot of potential, and it just never lived up to it. You kind of thought he did with those no hitters, but 4.56 career ERA is not great.
No, and maybe I should have taken a closer look at him. I didn't even really click on his stuff, because I was like, I remembered him being good for a couple of years, the ones that you were talking about. But yeah, everything around that is really bad. Like you said, he was a really high draft pick, and he's another guy I remember coming up, and even when he got drafted, people were talking about him like, oh, he's going to be really good. And outside of those couple years, when he kind of figured it out, he was awful. He also had some injury problems. There were many, like, just years where he couldn't stay on the field for a full season. For a guy that the Reds surely were counting on to be their next stud pitcher. And even the years when he figured it out weren't that great. They were good. In 208 innings, a 3.68 ERA, 209 innings, a 3.49 ERA. So he was, above, I guess, slightly above average. Above average in the years that he was good, but he was never great.
Yeah,
and he never made an all-star team.
Those 3 years are still not mind-blowing or anything.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. Food for thought, I guess, for Homer Bailey.
That's a real good nomination. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so then that rounds out our nominees. So then that means our ballot then is as follows: Edwin Jackson, Matt Albers, and Ryan Flaherty from last year. And then we got Sean Rodriguez, Justin Smoke, Rick Porcello, Ivan Nova, and Homer Bailey to round out this year first ballot nominees for the worst of fame.
That's right. Jeremy. So I guess we each get 4 votes. That doesn't necessarily mean we need to use all of them if we don't want to.
Correct.
But yeah, I guess we can get into the voting portion of this.
Real
quick.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't know if you said this earlier on, but like if a player gets one vote, they stay on the ballot. So
they do.
Yeah, and they need both to get in.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's get to the voting then, shall we?
Yeah. Let's do it. I guess. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I'll go first since I had you do the first nominee.
Cool.
And I'll do my first, most obvious vote here. Is I voted for Sean Rodriguez. I think the worst of fame was made for guys like him.
Never a more damning sentence was said.
Yeah, right.
Damning yet true. So I think we usually go like bum 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 bum. Sean Rodriguez. Yes. You are in the 2020. You're in the worst of fame for 2026. I also voted for Sean Rodriguez.
Great.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So we can get that one out of the way real quick. Last year we had 2 middle infielders, and now we have another middle or just utility infielder. Love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So my second vote is I'm trying to think of how I should do this. I'll just go with this. So my second vote, Jack, is for Rick Porcello.
Okay. Great, Jeremy. I'm still thinking about some things here, but that's great. He's at least going to advance into next season.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So Jeremy, you actually swayed me here.
Okay.
My second vote is going to be for Homer Bailey.
Nice. Awesome.
Yes.
You know what, Jack? I also have Homer Bailey on my list.
Nice. Well, bum. Homer Bailey, you are in the worst of fame.
Yeah, that's awesome. The guy threw 2 no-hitters and he made it into the worst of fame. So I like it.
Okay, yeah, very good, Jeremy. So for my third vote, I am going to vote for Edwin Jackson.
Oh man. Okay. I did not have Edwin Jackson again, Jack. We didn't really talk about it, but and I think, man, okay, this sucks. Maybe we should have talked about this because if there was a controversy last year, it's that I nominated. We both nominated him, and I didn't vote for him last year. I just had some kind of weird pullback at the last minute, and I didn't vote for Edwin Jackson. And damn if I didn't do it again. And I think I almost all but promised that I would vote for him this year, but there were so many good guys on the ballot this year that I couldn't find a vote for him.
Okay, that's great, Jeremy. Well, that means he's going to advance again, though, which is great. Good. Yeah, just a couple of the the vitals here for him. 4.78 career ERA over 17 big league seasons. 107 and 133 career record. So, well under 500, not good. Pitched for a whole hell of a lot of teams. Led the Cubs in losses, led the major leagues in losses in 2013 with 18 for the Cubs. Jeremy, I wonder if you have, I know Daniel Descalzo played for the Cubs, and I know how much you disliked Edwin Jackson when he was on the Cubs, but it's maybe it's a weird thing where he was on the Cubs for a while, so you can't vote for him. I don't know.
I don't know. That should make me want to vote for him more, but I just don't. I can't explain it. I look at his numbers. I'm looking at his Baseball Reference now, and I did the hide partial rows because that can be misleading sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I would glance at his Baseball Reference. I did it again yesterday, and I saw too many seasons with a sub 4 ERA. So that right there is the eye test for me. So I'm looking, but then 1, 2, 3, 4 years. This one he didn't even start though, with a sub 4 ERA. That's for me. That's my eye test. My starting point for a lot of these guys. But the ones that are not under 4 are ugly. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Edwin Jackson. The guy, I hated the guy when he was with the Cubs. I hated him. I think we were at a game where I was probably cursing him.
Yes.
I just loathe the fact that this guy went out every 5 days for the Cubs, and I had to watch him. And I think he was a situation where like he pitched most of the games I was at. Like, you know, he was the guy I saw the most from, you know, that in a year, like from that staff, and it was just maddening. But he's flew under my radar twice now for the worst of fame. I'm almost like getting mad not voting for him, and I've already committed my 4 votes. But I'm glad he's on for next year. I know I sound like a broken record. I don't know how this guy's managed to escape my votes, but don't give up on him, Jack, because this guy deserves to be in the worst of fame. I'll say that.
Sure. Well, he'll get another chance. So so right now we know that Edwin Jackson and Rick I'll just say it, Jeremy. I'm not going to vote for Rick Porcello this year.
Okay.
But I'm glad that he's carrying over because I feel like I need another year to think about him.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, sometimes Hall of Fame voters will do this too, right? Like, you know, some people voted for Carlos Beltran on his first year in the ballot. A lot of people didn't because he cheated, but, you know, I'm sure that there are writers who didn't vote for him because they knew he would get on eventually, right? This guy's like, oh, I'm not going to vote for him on this ballot, but I'll vote for him on a future one. So it's very possible he could get in the future, but I don't know if he's a first ballot guy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, maybe those couple sub-4 ERA seasons like bought him a couple years of not, staying out of the worst of fame. So correct me. Let's just check in here, Jack. I have one more vote left. Did you give all 4 years at this point?
I have not given all 4 of mine yet, so I might as well give my last one right now. But it's going to be for, and this is a tough one.
Okay. I'm hoping we have the same guy here because I want more than 2 guys in the class.
So I am going to pick Matt Albers for my last vote.
Oh no!
Okay.
Damn it. Okay, so last year I voted for Albers. You didn't.
That's funny.
Well, let me just. Okay, well, go ahead. Let's Albers.
No, so I had to take another look at him because I feel like his case needs to be re-examined here.
Okay.
But he had some really bad seasons. I mean, for Houston, like a 5.86 ERA in 2007, pitched 110 innings. Baltimore 2009 in relief, 5.51 ERA in 67 innings. For the White Sox in 2016. 51 innings pitched, a 6.31 ERA. For the Brewers in 2019, a 5.13 ERA and 59 innings. And then in 34 innings for the Brewers the previous year, he had a 7.34 ERA in 34 innings. That's a high ERA for all those innings. It's just this guy was terrible.
Yeah. I think this is why I voted for him last year. And, like, I looked at his numbers again. And, again, there was a couple years where he was good.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, if the guy was good for a year, does he deserve to be in there? But again, Porcello, I voted for Porcello. So, and then Homer Bailey's a special case, I think. But like, I'm just trying to think. I wish I was I don't wish I was a White Sox fan in 2015. But like, if I was a White Sox fan in 2015, would I have been glad and we had the lead? Would I have been glad that they were putting Matt Albers in? Like, I feel like if you were, like, more than a couple times, you shouldn't vote for him. But I mean, some of these years are just so bad. So, like, man, okay, well, he's on the ballot again for next year. It is nice. It's nice to maybe be able to kick the can down the road a little bit with some of these guys. Like, it's nice to know that they're going to stay on the ballot. And if that was your last vote, then it's funny because we have one more guy who's going to stay on the ballot because I voted for a guy who I think you didn't. At this point, who you did not vote for.
Yeah. But one last thing about Albers, Jeremy, is that if you look in 20, so he went all these years. He started a game in 2008. He started 3 games in 2008. Never started again until 2016. That one game he started, that was the game where Chris Sale cut up those jerseys. So, like, Sale was supposed to start, and then they sent him home, and Albers ended up starting that game. So I feel like that's, like, some sort of detriment to Albers. Like, as a White Sox fan, you go to that game, you think you're going to see Chris Sale. it ends up being Matt Albers starting the game and probably pitching 2 innings. So it's like, that's just a mark against him as well. So just throwing that out there, folks.
That is good, and it's like if he somehow doesn't get into the worst of fame, the jersey that he wore that day should at least be in the museum itself.
Yes, either the jersey he wore or the jersey Sale cut up that he didn't get to wear.
Yeah, right.
Know?
Yeah, exactly. The one that he was supposed to wear.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that's just funny. It's funny how the ball bounces here for the worst of fame.
Yeah.
Well, so in that spirit, then, Jack, this is funny because I have the flip of what happened last year with Albers, where I voted for him and then didn't vote for him this year. Last year, Jack, you voted for this guy, and I voted for him this year. But I voted my final vote went to Ryan Flaherty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So that's crazy, Jeremy. What if we just kept playing musical chairs with these two guys?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, Flaherty for me, and again, his numbers were terrible, and we kind of have a different relationship with him now because he's the Cubs bench coach. But yeah, my God, man, maybe I should have re-examined that case. 215 career average over parts of 8 seasons. For me, I guess like Flaherty, he just wasn't consequential enough to to like warrant being mad that he was terrible. That was the only reason. That was kind of why I didn't vote for him. But tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think if you wanted to argue my case, or if I wanted to argue my case, like take the other side of it, I would just be like really, Ryan Flaherty, like, yeah, did it matter that he was not good? He was a first round pick. I think he must have been like a supplemental pick or a sandwich pick because he was first round 41st overall. So
yeah,
in 2008, but he was the first pick for the Cubs, so that hurt the Cubs.
Sure.
I'm trying to look at his minor league numbers to see if he ever had a good minor. His first full year in professional baseball in A-ball. I mean, this is sad when you have to go to A-ball stats,
right?
To justify that this guy was worthy of wearing a jersey. And he had a good year in A-ball for the Peoria Cubs or the Peoria Chiefs maybe. But he had 20 homers, 276. But why am I even looking at those numbers?
Sure.
His major league numbers were not good. Career 215 hitter. Hit 217 twice. Never played more than 102 games, and if you take that year out, never played more than 91 games. Just bounced around. I don't know if this was a guy who they were maybe talking about becoming like. Okay, so you mentioned we know him in a different light now. He's a bench coach for the Cubs. He was the bench coach, I think, in San Diego before that.
Mm-hmm.
And after he's retired, he's kind of become like kind of a hot commodity. Although I don't know if anyone interviewed him like this off season or not. But he's a guy who I would have said last year, like for sure. I still think he probably will become a manager at some point.
Yeah,
it seems like it. I don't think that window's closed for him yet. So like, maybe I'm like, there were certain guys who were like, oh, this guy's going to be a manager, like when they're still a player. I don't know if that was the case for Ryan Flaherty as a player, but yeah, it's just, his numbers are bad. I mean, he never played a full year. He never won like a full-time spot, I think.
Yeah. Jeremy, I'm looking too, and I didn't actually know he'd gone to Vanderbilt, or I guess I'd just forgotten it if I ever did know it. But yeah, 2008 was the same draft as Pedro Alvarez, who also went to Vanderbilt. So that would be interesting to have two guys from Vandy who were on the same team be in the worst of fame.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's I don't know. There's Vandy, like, great track record for pitchers, not so great for hitters, but there's still a couple I think that were good. But I know JJ Bleday was Vandy, and he's not gonna have a good MLB career when all is said and done. But
no.
But yeah. So I thought he warranted a vote. It hurts. It hurt. So as I'm saying this, I'm like, Ryan Flaherty got my last vote over like an Edwin Jackson. Jack, Ivan Nova falls off the ballot.
He does. Well, like you said,
crazy.
Jeremy, good to not be influenced by something that could be, cool. Like, it's like, yeah, he threw the pitch that Jeremy ultimately ended up in Jeremy's hands. But I don't think there was enough there over some other guys, especially when I look at Homer Bailey. That was definitely a guy who had a higher pedigree than Ivan Nova and, was just as bad, if not worse. So I think sometimes you have to weigh things like that, and that was why Bailey got my vote.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, and Bailey was like on the brink of even nomination for me, and then he was on the brink of voting for me. And honestly, I think maybe it actually came down to either Bailey or Nova. But yeah, Bailey's numbers not good. So yeah, I guess real quick, Jack. Well, I guess we can just say congratulations then to the class of 2026, Sean Rodriguez and Homer Bailey. That's an interesting class, and I thought there was going to be more. I thought there was going to maybe be 4.
Well, Jeremy, I think that just like the Hall of Fame, it's good that the Worst of Fame is kind of exclusive. Something you mentioned is that maybe the floodgates are going to start opening now that, these 2 guys got in, Beltran, Andrew Jones, who only started his Hall of Fame voting with 7% of the vote the first year he was on the ballot. So I read that, I think this is accurate, but that nobody ever started with that few votes and then ended up in the Hall of Fame ultimately. So that's pretty amazing that he could get that much support over a number of years. Scott Rowland made it in a couple years ago. I don't think anybody thought he was a surefire Hall of Famer when he was playing, although people thought he was good. So yeah, maybe we'll start to see more of these fringe guys like Chase Utley get in. So it'll be interesting, but ours remains exclusive at least for this year.
Yeah. The ballot will be jam packed next year. So it's funny that Edwin Jackson, Matt Albers, and Ryan Flaherty survive another vote, and it just the voting switched on them, which is funny. And maybe there's something to that. It's like we haven't had too many holdovers, but maybe there's something about voting for a guy 1 year and then it's like, did they do enough to earn my vote 2 years in a row? So
right.
We'll see what happens with that. And then Rick Porcello from this year stays on the ballot. So we'll have 4 guys leading into next year, and then potentially 8 more, but we do tend to overlap a lot. So, man, we might have to petition the committee to allow us to have more than 4 votes next year. I don't know, but for the sake of keeping it exclusive, that's we'll maybe keep it at 4. But it's going to be a packed ballot next year.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet, Jeremy. But it could be one of those years where I don't know if it was Bonds and Clemens went on the ballot in the same year or something like that. But sometimes guys don't get votes or they drop off just because of how packed that year's ballot is.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess we should, since we're talking about this now, I don't know if this will be a case or not. Maybe we want to amend it, but I guess we should say that guys. Should we amend it from 10 years? Guys can stay on the ballot for 10 years before they fall off. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if we're going to be doing this podcast in 10 years. I don't know if podcasts will exist in 10 years. I don't know if we should allow Edwin Jackson, Albers, and Flaherty to stay on for 10 years or maybe change it to 5 years, or 3. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
3 years sounds more reasonable. I don't want to think about 5 years down the road. If Matt Albers is still on a Hall of Fame ballot for this podcast 5 years from now, that would be absurd. But also it could be funny. So
if we're doing it for some sort of MLB podcasting network, I won't have any problem with it. But yeah, so okay, well, let's think about that, because if that's the case, then next year is their last year of eligibility.
Yeah,
so
that could be interesting.
Yeah, so we can finalize that. But yeah, all right. Well, there you go. That was this is always a fun episode to do.
It truly is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think next week is going to be fun too, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I'm excited about Sox Fest. I think we talked about it last year, but it's fun to maybe go to a fest where I personally am not deeply, make or break in it, deeply invested, and it should be fun. It'll be fun to hang out with Chris, and just to see what kind of goofballs we see. We're gonna probably just encounter a whole new crop of goofballs at this fest.
Yes, it'll be interesting, and we'll have all the details for you next week.
Yeah. All right. So, congrats to Sean Rodriguez and Homer Bailey once again. Next year it'll be fun. But for this episode of Rain Delay Theater, I'm Jeremy Dinicio.
I'm Jack Swakowski.
We'll talk to you next week.
Later.